Welcome into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. And I know that outcome is not what you wanted. What was the biggest takeaway for you of positive on either side of the ball, looking at it, the idea of especially that final drive for the offense and the way that your defense after those first couple drives stopped? Was there something for you that the positive side of what you can take away?
The only positive was we did not play well and we had a chance to be in it at the end. So we fought hard. We just got to play smarter.
And looking at that final drive, was that the offense that you feel like this team could be and should be most of the time?
Not even close. We can get so much better than that. You know, we can execute better. We can play a lot better than that. That was just a small portion. We can play a lot better than that, and we need to.
I know Russell Gage was a big part of that drive and was one of the guys asked to step up with so many of your wide receivers missing for various reasons. So career high in catches for him, ended up with 87 yards. I know the fumble is probably something that you tend to look at a little bit more, but what would you say looking at between both his performance in terms of the catches and the fumble, how would you rate his performance?
His effort and his competitiveness was there. Obviously, a few plays he's missed with the fumble. It takes his performance down to probably a B-.
And looking at the way that so many guys had to step up, how would you evaluate all of those other wide receivers as a whole? Maybe some guys that impressed you or who you felt like still needed to step up more? Because I know that you guys will never use injuries as the excuse. You will never say that that's why you lost, but of course there's a reason that you would want certain guys out there as the starters. So evaluating these guys who did have to step into bigger roles, how did you feel like they handled the challenge?
I thought they handled the challenge well. I think we have to clean up some routes. I think we have to clean up some things we do down the field, and the experience comes with that, but at the same time, we don't trust them, we don't play them. So we put them out there for a reason to perform, and they have to perform.
I know that it's one thing to say, everybody says that they know the team needs to start fast, and everybody knows that, and you can say that and preach that. What do you feel like are some of the tangible ways that you guys can make a change early in the game when we've seen that the struggles to put a touchdown up in the first half of all three games, and I know the defensively, the first and maybe second drives haven't been nearly what the rest of the game has been defensively. So what are some of those things that you feel like you guys can implement to try to spark things that you're seeing the team can do, but just right from the start?
I would think offensively the tempo, just getting in and out of the huddle and being way ahead of the clock. You know, if the clock can go down and we can get in a good tempo, we go down the field, we move the ball. Defensively is similar to that, but we have to get our substitutions in and out, and everybody has to get the call and get lined up and communicate. I think early on, everyone tries to make a play, and then they settle down, they start playing football, but we got to be on the same page from the start.
And speaking of tempo, I know that the delay game had to be frustrating there at the end and the two-point conversion. What happened on that play overall, both the delay of game but then also the failed attempt, and once you guys were able to go back and take a look at it?
Delay a game, you know, there's no excuse. We got to get that ball off. You know, all of them guys played football for a long time. We didn't have any timeouts to call. We got to get the ball snapped. We'll get better at that. That's just something that can't happen. We're a lot smarter than that. And once you move back 5 yards, it becomes awfully tough to get in from the 7, and they can drop more people in the coverage, and that ball has to be on a line drive, and, you know, they made the play they needed to make.
What did you see from Brady in this game? I know that he started out in particular with 12 straight completions, finished 31 of 42, and it was while the offense wasn't producing as many points, where did you feel like his game ranked, and maybe what kind of rating are you going to be giving him?
I think he was putting the ball where it was supposed to be. I mean, we got to get open too, and we got to protect the quarterback some. You know, he can make one or two more good decisions, but I thought he played well. I thought he gave us a chance to win at the end, and he put us in position. We just got to get the ball snapped down the last play.
And how did you feel about Cole Beasley stepping in after just a few days of being here to learn the playbook, and made a couple catches that were pretty big at the time, and what you saw from what he has the potential to be as another offensive weapon here?
He's a competitor. He's very smart. You know, he came in, he's a heady ball player. He's competitive as heck, and he came in and made some plays for us to go in and play after 2 days of practice. You know, we thought he did a good job.
And I know that the tight end position maybe hasn't gotten quite the contributions that you guys would like or hope or maybe need from them. I know Kyle Rudolph got his first catch. Cam Brate was definitely his highest production game so far, 5 catches for 52 yards, and including a 19-yarder. What did you see out of those guys, and what are the hopes for maybe what needs to continue to grow and happen in that position room?
Well, they competed, they compete all the time. They just got to get better at blocking in the run game. They did a decent job. We can always be better there because we didn't run for a lot of yards. We can always be better all the way up front, tight ends included. But pass receiving wise, they catch the balls that come to them.
And we saw that Fournette ended up being just as involved in the passing game as the run game this time. Maybe it was 35 and 35, his yardage split those two areas. So what was not working as much for him on the ground? And do you feel like maybe guys like Rachaad White, Keyshawn Vaughn, you want to start relying on them a little bit more as well? Or how do you feel like you see being able to continue establishing the run game when maybe it's not going to be just Leonard's day to be able to put up yards like he did in that Cowboy game?
Well, I think the other two guys need to play just to give him some rest. They got to spell him some, and we're trying to keep him for 17 games and not just 3 games. So it's going to be important to get the other guys involved in that, and we just have to bite the bullet and put them in there. We trusted them in preseason. We trust them in practice. We just got to get them in the game so Lenny can be fresh.
I know that the special teams unit had themselves a heck of a game. That Camarda got a net 58-yard punt. Suckup is now tied for the league lead in 40-plus yard field goals with 6. Even Rachaad White getting a 20-yard kickoff return. Did you feel like that unit overall had maybe the best day of the 3 sides of the ball?
Probably. The special teams have been playing very well. Camarda did a heck of a job changing the field position for us yesterday, and they've been physical coverage units. So special teams 2 weeks in a row now has done a very good job as far as helping us out and not giving the ball away. They've really been protecting the football, but they give us a lot of excitement because they're physical. They are extremely physical, and I like that about them. KJ Britt's turning into a leader over there, and he's kind of taking it upon himself to lead those guys.
All right, well, we have plenty more coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Now more on the defensive side of things. Man, what a shift in first half to second half, and maybe you could even call it more of the after the first 2 possessions and the rest of the game, that especially to start the second half, there's 2 3-and-outs and an interception to start. I mean, that's as good as it gets, essentially. So what was the shift? What changed? What felt so different of that beginning towards the end of the game?
Just settling down, understanding what they're trying to do, and then playing team football. I don't think we played team ball the first 2 drives. There was a guy here or a guy there that cost us. We cost ourselves a chance to get off the field on 3rd down. I think the guys settled down and understood what was being done. They locked in on it, and they started playing better. Yeah,
3rd down had to be some of the more frustrating parts of the game, essentially for both sides of the ball that I know. Green Bay started 5 of 5 on 3rd down. And it took the Bucs quite a while to convert a 3rd down. But then all of a sudden, the Green Bay goes 0 for 7 after that on 3rd down. So what did you see change specifically defensively on their 3rd down opportunities, and then what finally started clicking a little bit offensively on 3rd down for us?
We tweaked some things coverage-wise defensively to help us gain an advantage on 3rd down. Offensively, we struggled 2 or 3 weeks now. I think that's what halts most of our drives, so we got to get better there. Whether it's a false start, whether it's a holding penalty, whether it's a missed opportunity, we have got to get better there.
A couple impact plays on the defense again, something you guys are showing that you're very good at this year. And Vita Vea got his first career forced fumble, one that he seemed very excited about at the time. Take us through that play and him forcing that, and why that's a pretty big deal for the guy in his position there.
We're in cover 3. It was a drop call for the nose because they like to sit somebody over the middle. So we figured if we sat a nose over the middle, that'd deter the throw. It didn't deter the throw, but he sure went over and made sure he coughed it up. And, that's exciting for a D lineman to make a play out in the secondary.
Yeah, I was thinking if I got hit by Vita and Levante at the same time, I would probably have given the ball up as well. I would have probably tried to lateral it before that happened. But and then Logan Ryan recovers that fumble and then also gets his first pick as a Buccaneer. What did you see from him in that game and the way he's already been able to come in here and contribute?
It's the way he prepares during the week. His study habits are outstanding. It spills over to the rest of the secondary. He pays attention to detail. He knows how to disguise and bait people and get the plays that he wants to get.
He actually talked about how he kind of credits you with that you had set him up for that and showing him things to look for. I have to imagine that's kind of the coach's dream, to know that you brought up something you knew would work and then the player digests it and applies it properly. How well do you feel like that's something that's happening with particularly the secondary, where, you know, Logan Ryan's a new guy, but you have so many guys that have essentially grown up in your system where you've been their guy their whole career. Are you at a place now where you feel like that happens more often, that you communicating what you want to them, seeing it actually come to fruition on the field?
It's starting to seem that way. You know, Coach Rapone and Coach Ross have a lot to do with that as well. So we're all on the same page. We communicate with each other. They're seeing things a lot better. I think the younger guys are seeing it a lot better since Logan came, because he meets with those guys as well. So it's just been a good group overall coming together.
And how about the defensive line? I know Logan Hall getting his first sack of his career and asked to step in a little bit more now that Akeem Hicks is missing some time. So what did you see from that group overall, and how they were able to try to make up for those very, very big shoes that Akeem Hicks fills?
The group overall played well. We started out a little slow, just like every position over there did, but Logan came into his own. He's growing up, you know. We're glad to see him get pressure on the quarterback, and he did it several times. He just got the one sack, but he got several pressures. He was very active in there, and his confidence is growing, and we expect him to help us a great deal.
I know that for Rodgers at one point, I think early in the fourth quarter, his average depth of target was only about 2.9 yards. Almost half of his throws were at or behind the line of scrimmage. What is the challenge when that is the game plan that someone like him is running? And overall, how did you feel like your defense adjusted to that kind of a game plan?
The challenge is tackling, you know, and being disciplined in your zone drops. He's one of the few quarterbacks that can pump fake with one arm and still pull the ball back and go somewhere else. So reading from a zone principle, that kind of screws with you, because you're kind of taught as soon as they take one hand off the ball, he's ready to throw, but he pulls it back in. So that got us twice, and it cost us because he faked it, and then he came back and threw it to the open area, and we just missed the tackle. But I thought we adjusted well overall.
All right, well, we still have more coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles, now preparing for the Chiefs. This is something that you've had to do several times, considering it's a AFC versus NFC team that typically you wouldn't see as often. And we know that it went pretty well the last time, you know, that it was something that it's got to feel kind of interesting to do essentially a Super Bowl rematch, but knowing that both teams are different. So when you look at the last time you guys played them compared to now, what are the things that are similar and what are different in terms of how this matchup might look?
It feels like a long time ago. They're a different team. I know we're a different team. The only thing similar is they've given us the playoff matchups 3 weeks in a row. We had to beat the Saints, then we had to beat the Packers, now we're playing the Chiefs. So it's really the same lineup. Yeah. The only thing similar is the same lineup. I think, you know, the only thing the same they have is really Patrick Mahomes. A lot of the receivers are different. Kelsey obviously is there, and their line is different. And, you know, we've tweaked some things, and our team is different. I think they're still dangerous. They're still a very good football team. We feel like we're capable of playing good football, rather get there sooner than later. So it's going to be a tough matchup.
Tell me what in particular these wide receivers might bring that, of course, Tyreek Hill was such a huge part of that game plan. So missing him, but then adding these guys, how could that potentially force some different things that you guys have to be ready for and prepared for?
Well, they have size now. They have size and speed. You know, Hardman's there with size, and Schuster's there, and they got the guy from Green Bay as well. So they have size and speed now. They kind of changed their offense a little bit. Travis is always a focal point. Hilaire has been running the ball great, and Mahomes has adjusted his game. I think Coach Bieniemy and Coach Reed have done a great job with adjusting their offense to the personnel that they have. So they're more dangerous running. They're a lot more dangerous because they're a lot bigger. Those guys can make contested catches, and, you know, Mahomes can see all over the field. So he still has that vision to find the open guy.
What are the challenges now as a head coach where you have, you know, the threat of a hurricane coming in, the way you try to make sure that your team is ready for the game, but also being considerate of preparing for this and their families. I feel like we've talked about the idea that you're still calling the defense, but sometimes being a head coach requires some more of the psychology part of it and the off the field part of it, and the CEO role of managing some of these things. So quite a little thing to throw at you here in your early days of being a head coach. What are the things that you feel like you're wanting to focus on to make sure the team is still ready when this is happening?
Obviously, you want to make sure that the team and their families are okay. That's the first thing. Obviously, you want everybody in Tampa to be okay everywhere. And you want to make sure their families are fine. If their families are fine, then their heads are in a good headspace. So you want to make sure they're focused as well. So we got to make sure their families are fine. That makes them fine. Then still try to get ready for the ball game. It's kind of one of them things in life that you just don't expect too many times, and you have to kind of adjust and go with it as it comes. There's no manual for this type of deal. You got to kind of play it by ear and play it by feel and do the best you can.
And to know that now, looking forward to this game, what are the things that you feel like you most want to see your team accomplish based on how these first 3 games have gone, the things that you want to see go differently in this game than the first 3?
Definitely don't want the turnovers, and definitely don't want the penalties. Penalties would be number 1. If we can line up offensively and not shoot ourselves in the foot, I would like to see how far we can go. If we can line up defensively and start the game fast, I would like to see how well we can play. That'll be a constant, and we like to get some returns in the special teams department. That'll help us win ball games.
This was finally the first home game this last week of the regular season, and they actually announced that it was the largest ever attendance for a Bucs game. Could you feel that and hear that when you were out there? And overall, how did it feel to finally be in front of that home crowd, and the difference as compared to the first couple weeks?
You can definitely feel it. You can definitely see it when you come out. We've been gone for like 6 weeks, so this was a big deal coming out, playing against a quality opponent and being the first home game. I'm just sorry we let them down, didn't win the ball game, but you can definitely feel the crowd. The energy was all over.
All right, we have one more segment coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show, so be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles, and I have to end with a little bit of non-football stuff. You know, you're a new head coach, people getting to know you, and I saw John Bon Jovi was at the game. I feel like this is a perfect time to bring up your love of music. First of all, how you felt about him. Second of all, tell me about the Todd Bowles music and how you, I feel like you are just playing it nonstop in your office, that this is a part of your coaching repertoire is the music. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say. I think Bon Jovi, obviously, he's legendary. A lot of great songs, been around a long time. Everybody knows him. Wish I would have got to meet him. Musically, I cannot work without music. It calms me down. It makes me think. It helps me relax. It helps me see tape better. And I cannot work in silence, so I have to work in music. And we're talking gospel, jazz, rap, soft rock, rhythm and blues, oldies, new, you name it, it's there. I'll go far back as Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers up to J. Cole and then some, so it kind of goes everywhere. And depending on when you walk in, you might hear a little bit of everything.
What is the reaction from the team to this, that guys, either on your staff or players, when they realize the love of music, what you listen to, what were some of the reactions and conversations there?
The coaches knew it. The coaches know, so that's not a big deal. The players, when they hear one of their songs coming in the office, they'll snap their head back and look at me like, what are you playing this for? And I'm like, okay. And then some of them know a lot of oldies, so it's a varied reaction all the time, but I think they like it.
What do you feel like for you is the way that who you are can relate well to the players, whether it's things like music or having played there, the kind of relationship you want to have with players? Because I know coaches have a lot of different philosophies on the way they, as a head coach, want to relate to the guys on the team. How would you describe that for you?
I think it's respect on both sides. You want respect, but you got to give respect to earn respect. You know, the game has changed so much. The player has changed so much. You want to make sure you're teaching them football and learn one thing every day to get better at. Not do it just to do it, but do it because you know it'll help their game. And once they know it's not personal, you can kind of talk to them anyway, and they can talk to you. And so the communication and the openness is there. That's what you want as a coach. It's constantly teaching. You're a teacher. you're basically a teacher. Sometimes a screamer and a yeller, but nevertheless a teacher. And once they know that's not personal, they'll try to give you everything they can. So that makes the relationship great, and that's all you want as a coach.
Do you feel like your philosophy on that has changed over the course of your entire time as a coach at all?
I think it has. I think I've gone from just coaching ball to understanding how to coach different players differently. And I think that's important because no player learns the same. Some are by classroom, some are by board work, some on the field, some just get it when you talk to them. And you have to understand who's who. And there got to be different ways and different levels of teaching. Some people you have to yell at and scream at. Some people get it just if you say, I can say one thing to Levante, he'll say, got it, coach. I can say one thing to Bunning, he'll say, got it, coach. Other guys learn differently, so you have to make sure you exhaust everything in your playbook and your vocabulary. The guys are coming out of school as sophomores and juniors now. They don't do 4 or 5 years of college anymore, so they're coming out as athletes. It's up to us as coaches to mold them to see mentally what they can do and how far they can go.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us on this edition of the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be back here next week to talk about that Chiefs game. We'll see you then.